Has anyone ever watched a person ask someone a simple question like, "What do you want for dinner?" and then seen that person freeze for half a minute, as if they had just been asked to figure out how to solve world hunger? Moments like that often reveal something interesting about the way a person thinks. That kind of reaction usually points to someone who tends to think very deeply. In fact, there are roughly 3 different types of people who fall into this category. Deep thinking, after all, isn't simply about being intelligent. It often has more to do with the way someone's mind is psychologically wired and how their brain processes the world around them. And the truth is, not every deep thinker behaves the same way. Some naturally lean toward philosophy and reflection, while others simply have a talent for making intense eye contact that feels a little unsettling. So it helps to break these personalities down into clearer categories. The first type is what many would call the silent observer. This is the individual who might sit quietly for 45 minutes without saying much, yet during that time, they have already analyzed nearly every person in the room. They notice the smallest changes, like the subtle shift in someone's body language when an ex-partner's name comes up. They catch the forced laughter that others miss, and they quietly register every little social cue happening around them. From a psychological perspective, this behavior is often connected to high levels of trait empathy combined with strong pattern recognition. In other words, their brain is constantly scanning people's micro-expressions and emotional signals, almost like a built-in human lie detector that is always running in the background. Their silence isn't usually a sign of shyness. More often, they stay quiet simply because their mind is busy processing everything they observe. But even that level of thinking is mild compared to the next type. Unlike the silent observer, these individuals don't just notice things, they spiral deeply into them. The next category could be called the overthinker's overthinker. This is the kind of person who sent someone a message 3 days ago and is still dissecting the single word reply they received. When they read, "Okay," their mind immediately begins questioning it. Did the other person truly mean okay? Was it a neutral "okay," or was it a passive-aggressive one? Are they secretly upset? Did one small mistake somehow ruin everything? Psychologists often refer to this mental loop as rumination. Their brain keeps searching for closure and explanation, constantly trying to understand, categorize, and resolve what happened. The problem is that not every situation in life actually comes with a clear resolution. Unfortunately, that's a very difficult idea to explain to a brain that suddenly wakes up at 3 in the morning determined to analyze everything again. And if that kind of thinking already sounds intense, there is one final type who goes even deeper. This last personality doesn't just analyze conversations or emotions. They start questioning reality itself. Many people like to call this person the existential wanderer. Someone might casually ask them how their weekend went, and somehow the conversation ends up turning into a discussion about whether free will even exists. They don't do this intentionally. It simply happens because their mind naturally gravitates toward big questions instead of everyday small talk. Researchers often connect this tendency to something called the default mode network in the brain. This network becomes especially active during moments of reflection and creativity, and it often sparks the kinds of thoughts that lead people to ask questions like, "Why are we here?" while standing in line at Starbucks. So the real question becomes, which of these types describes a person best? Are they the quiet silent observer, the reflective existential wanderer, or the overthinker, who is already analyzing which category fits them most accurately? If someone recognizes themselves in one of these descriptions, they might already have their answer. And if hearing all of this made a person feel strangely understood, there is a good chance they are a deep thinker themselves. For anyone who enjoys psychology content that playfully challenges the way they see themselves and the world, there is always more to explore.